Syme, careful and wide. And Justine Mules-Robinson, it'd be fitting if the skipper finishes with it. An historic night for those in black and teal. Port Adelaide at attempt 4, win a showdown.
Alrighty, hello, welcome to the CREEDCAST. My name's Dave, and as always, we thank you for joining us. An incredible week once again to be doing this. I think we kind of themed a lot of our podcast last week about how that win over Hawthorn a couple of weeks ago was one of our favourite, if not the best wins that we've seen this Port Adelaide AFLW side give us in the entire history of the club, being in the competition for the last 4 years. And I think now we can bookend it with as a nice double feature of results with the amazing showdown win. Our first showdown win against the arch rivals in the Adelaide Crows at Norwood, which just added that extra little bit of just fucking cherry on top of a nice big slice of pie. Winning at the parade, it's just it doesn't matter what iteration of Port Adelaide it is, just winning at the parade is always fun. A 7 goals 10, 52 to 6 goals 9, 45 win for your Port Adelaide Footy Club. A scoreline that I can't believe I'm saying this because I just wanted to win no matter what, but a scoreline that flatters the Adelaide Crows, if anything, because your Port Adelaide Footy Club was dominant for large portions of the game. And as we get into dissecting this result and this review, good evening, Jamie. We'll see a lot of data points that we can point to as to why our Port Adelaide side was so dominant, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Before I get you in, Jamie, it doesn't matter.
Well done tonight. Showdown win's a showdown win. Fuck yeah.
Showdown win's a showdown win. Good evening, Jamie.
Fuck yeah. Good evening to you, and good evening, or good morning, good afternoon to everyone else tuning in. You took the words right out of my mouth in regards to the scoreline flattering the Adelaide Football Clown Club, the Ku Klux Crows. I was thinking about it every day until today, and it's definitely a point that I was certainly going to make because although they came with a wet sail, I even think that is flattering to them, giving them that much credit, because I thought the first quarter even flattered them, if I'm going to go an extra mile, although they started quite competitive. But I thought we were the better side across the whole 4 quarters, but it took until the second quarter to really get that going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first quarter is interesting watching it back on replay. Their first 2 goals kind of come from our mistakes in Sinead Goody.
A shitty turnover.
I texted you at one point on the night just saying I love Sinead Goody's just one of my favorite players in the AFL period. Men's and women's, I just love Sinead Goody and how she goes about it. Certainly the fact that she just responded to giving up that holding the ball on the goal by getting straight into a scuffle just cheered me up straight away and kind of
endearing.
Yeah, it is. And inadvertently resulted in a decent Crows player going out of the game. Not that we want to see that, but it is just spot fires everywhere. And then Neve Kelly goes out of the game with a concussion, which we hope she's okay. But it kind of just set the tone for the game that this Port Adelaide side wasn't going to let them. But it was, I think we should, the scuffles is something a separate point to talk about because I loved that, particularly at the end of the half. But just that first quarter, there's the Sinead Goody holding the ball thing. I texted you at one point. That's my point I was making about Sinead Goody's the one thing that she just does is, and it's not something I want to change. It's her confidence is that good that she thinks she can just shake off every tackle. And I think she's been caught holding the ball a lot this year, but that will change as she gets older. But and then the second goal comes from Sachi Syme kind of missing the kick out to, I think it was Derek, the receiver on that one. I think I can't remember, but I think it was.
Good question.
But either way, you kind of see it on the replay. Sachi's kick just kind of comes, floats off the side of the foot rather than gets the penetration she was looking for to pick off that kind of kick, and they score. So the first 2 goals come from that. Otherwise, we're getting the inside 50 entries. The first quarter was a lot of the Crows putting the pressure on. The disposal number and disposal efficiency number was quite in the biggest discrepancy it ever got to in the game was in that first quarter. It was quite stark at one point. I think there was one point where we'd had 22 disposals and every single one of them were kicks, and the Crows had 44 disposals, and it was like, and their number was 23 kicks to 19 handballs. So it had almost the same amount of kicks, but the Crows had franked that with some the handball game, which was kind of just what was undoing us. Like they were getting handballs inside the 50 to unlock opportunities, or handballs around to get their opportunities forward. But by and large, it was a contrast of styles, and beyond the Crows' domination of possession and some disposal efficiency in that first quarter, they still only were up by 9 points. We had taken advantage of opportunity, a great Indy Tahoe goal that should win goal of the year, hopefully, and Gemma Houghton with a decent return, a decent goal herself to open the scoring. There was kind of signs, and towards the back end of the quarter, I think we tightened it up a little bit. But yeah, there was signs in that first quarter, but particularly it just took us that first quarter, and I think it's a good sign of the resiliency in this team. They do go in at quarter time, you can go in 9 points down and go, oh shit, it's same old showdown again. But they just stuck to task, which has been kind of the messaging all year. Is there's a way we want to play, tidy up these areas, and we'll get better. And from the second quarter onwards, as you said, we kind of tidied up those little, polished the edges, and then the core of our game plan is just very, very hard for teams to deal with, barring maybe your North Melbournes and go, well, North Melbourne's the only side I can really say can handle that game, because the rest of the competition we've challenged at times this year, and it's only been our own mistakes that have really let us down. And that second quarter was kind of to do that to the Adelaide Crows on their home turf, the Adelaide Crows who have just been have been the marking point for us in our development, and to see where we're going. That was an incredible run in that second quarter and into the third quarter as well.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with your sentiments there in regards to the showdowns being a bit of a litmus test or a marker of our improvement broadly. And to go on with your comments about the second quarter onwards, it's funny, we did kick a goal 6 minutes roughly into the second quarter, but it was still somewhat of an arm wrestle up until I think it was the 13-minute mark onwards, where we kind of piled on, was it 3 quick goals to finish the second quarter, and that's where it was rubber stamped.
Yeah, it was still 5 points down with 5.5 minutes left in the second quarter. We were 5 points down, and then we end up 12 points off at half time. It's an incredible run.
Is sensational, and I mean, credit to Jazzy Stewart, who I'm sure we'll speak about a bit more throughout the pod, but I thought she was very influential in that quarter, but the first half in particular, I think it's been pretty well noted by Port fans across social medias, to take a phrase from your lexicon. But for a bit player, very impressive from her. Had on in conjunction with all the usual suspects. But as well as that, you mentioned again the just competitive nature of our season against most sides that we've played. And I know you have been leading that narrative, and I obviously agree with you wholeheartedly, but I've noticed a lot more people coming around to the fact that, or I'll put it another way, I think a lot of people were looking at the losses in a binary way, win-loss, throughout the season. And I think the way that we're finishing the season, although we obviously lament how some of those games have ended, I think a lot of people are coming around to the fact that, yes, we've played a lot of the top 8, and yes, we have been competitive, and yes, we probably should have, we definitely should have snagged 1 or 2 extra wins. But the fact of the matter is that we've played good opposition by and large for the whole year. We've been competitive for the whole year without being perfect. Not to say we're perfect now, but it's just a changing of perspective, I feel, across the fan base, which is good. We all obviously want to be in that position where we're definitely playing finals, and now we have to kind of hope for a miracle. But yeah, a game like that, another question mark we had over the side was whether they could string 2 wins in a row, because we noted that they haven't been able to do that this year. So a lot of comments from Matilda Schultz, Loz Arnell in the post-match presser, just the label of maturity coming through, which I think is apt for how we've carried ourselves in the last 4 weeks when you include the Brisbane game, which was frustrating for its own reasons, but also the Bulldogs game as well, who,
Hmm.
for a team in the bottom half of the ladder, did challenge us as well, and we had to react at home. So I think it's fantastic the way, if you just compartmentalize these moments and this moment in particular, it's something to be very proud of, I think. And look, it may not go anywhere after this weekend, but it's definitely a springboard for the next upcoming season. Um, and unfortunately, we still have to battle in a 12-game season next year.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's going to be something that has to be looked at, like by Port Fens. And I've kind of been putting together some notes, and I want to, maybe there'll be a thread up on the Twitter, on the social medias at some point the next day or so. Because I've kind of been putting together just my thoughts vis-a-vis the like ladder from last year, the teams we played last year, where they position themselves, who have played this year, our relative score lines against a lot of the teams we've played this year. So that's the other thing, is even in the some losses at some points in the last year or two have been quite like there's been stark differences. Whereas this year we can feel we competed against most sides, apart from North Melbourne, and that'll be. I'm sure we'll certainly talk about that more whenever we get to a point of a full spectrum season review, which unfortunately still looks likely to be quite soon after after we review next week, and it could be the week after that. But yeah, look, until we know what the results are this weekend, a miracle is very much still in play if results fall our way. So we'll wait and see on that. But yeah, all we can do is look at what they're doing for us. And you and I challenge them at times. I mean, not directly because we're just a couple of nuffies on a podcast, but we at times this year were a little bit frustrated with results. And I used the line at some point. I said they just need to grow up a little bit because there's certain aspect like the collapse against St Kilda, West Coast. A few of those were just straight up immaturity stuff, and like saying to grow up was kind of like, I want to see you keep talking about learnings. Let's see the learnings, and that's what they've done in the last 4 weeks, and in particular this showdown. I think Hawthorn result was a bit of a surprise one, but also like we know they can do this, but we're always looking to these showdowns. We've seen the Crows kind of like drop away from being a top 4 contender to just being a finals team, and we're on the up, and we're like, they're gettable. We should take this opportunity and utilize, and our game plan, when it's functioning well, is one that challenges a lot of teams, because and we did this so well against the Crows, is utilize the long kick, also just utilize the Crows incredibly. And I wonder, I talked about it on the squad show, and it was a curiosity to me, and I think it kind of worked as well as it could for them, but them taking the decision to drop their ruck, who is the third best in hitouts this year. I mean, I think apparently she's been up and down this year, but the fact that we're actually, Matilda Scholes is just seen as such a weapon that, fuck it, we'll just drop our ruck and just see if we can get it, maybe get a little bit more run on them.
Extra midfielder.
Yeah, but then Matilda Scholes is like an extra midfielder anyway, so it doesn't really,
exactly.
You're not really evening up a contest or getting a +1 in contest or run on the ground, because she's going to outrun. And so they kind of played into some of it, helped us out a little bit there, because we got even more domination. They still got some clearance. They did okay at the clearances, but we still ultimately won at the stoppage. I think 6 apiece at centre clearance, which probably a couple of those might have come late anyway. But I think they did get one late on. Trying to think how the centre. I know at one point it felt like we were getting every centre clearance. I think in that second and third quarter, not that but there was a lot of just as set up, like just in the forward pressure part was just incredible as well. And so everything that we've kind of, a game plan is still very much in development with such a young team, but all facets of it that we've seen this year that we've liked, I think came to the fore on Friday night. And I think we saw the best of it against a very, very good team in a showdown rivalry game as well. This is a spicy game. Like, that's the other impressive aspect of it, is that this performance comes in a showdown.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've spoken a lot about bridging the gaps in our statistical markers when in relation to the oppositions that we played. And trying to frank our strengths but mitigate our weaknesses, or mitigate the opposition's strengths, I guess you could say as well. And this is another game that reflects that across the key statistical markers in disposals and contested possessions, stoppage, or clearance, like you just said. It's something that we've managed to do quite well in the last month. Like I said, we've acknowledged our shortcomings, treated them as somewhat of an inevitability, but really tried to play into our strengths and take away a little bit of our opposition's strengths, which I thought we did really well against Hawthorn in particular, a good quality opponent. And again, a Crows team which is having now experiencing their own kind of slide and issues with injury and whatnot. Our injury list is obviously bigger. But yeah, we've caught them at the right time. We're on a good trajectory, and we put it all to work. Again, another aspect of a pleasing trend. It honestly feels like we're only now getting into our work. And yeah, when you think about the men's season that goes for double the amount of time, it is around rounds 10, 11, and 12, you really start to understand who the good teams are
Mm.
in the competition, and then from there, they kind of establish themselves on the run to the finals. But we're already there at the doorstep of finals for the AFLW competition, and just the fact that you can't play everyone once, and that there's teams above us that will finish above us, probably having played a mixture of opponents, but perhaps a more favourable draw, which is just ridiculous, that we can't now that we're into our work, we can't go on with that.
Mm.
And the blame is equally you know, at our feet as it is to do with the fixture. It's just frustrating that I genuinely feel like we're getting into our work, and like you said, a great time to do it in a tense rivalry game, to kind of announce yourself. A Friday night as well, which
Mm.
was pleasing and a good spectacle for everyone, even interstaters. Um,
There's a lot of the footy
but
media on Twitter and whatnot just
yeah,
talking about how like
yeah.
the AFLW media, I guess, but even you could just see a lot of people watching and taking it in and going, Jesus, this is a good game of footy. Like Showdown's Friday night, let's do that. Like, yeah,
Well, and it's something that I feel the average footy fan has been saying for a good period of time now, whether they're South Australian or
mm,
not. There's just too much pig-headedness in the AFL landscape, both men's and, well, I get, you can't really say women's, although in other regards there are. We're talking
yeah,
about fixture length here,
mm,
as well. But yeah, what a great spectacle, and quite unfortunate that we've announced ourselves for the season in the last month, and it's just more than likely going to be a tease for the competition, because fans of football, and fans, particularly fans of the AFLW, want to see good football. And I feel like we're now playing good football,
mm,
and the competition and the fans are going to be robbed of a team who is arguably playing some of the best football across the competition now,
yeah,
because we started slow, we've had injury troubles, and now the season's just about to end. I think we all understand that the AFL invests a lot of money and doesn't make the return they'd be after, just yet, at this point in time. But the quicker we get to a 17 round season,
mm,
the better off the whole competition will be.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's just something that I've definitely been ruminating on for the last few days. And we were messaging about Gemma and Indy. I mean, and I said to you that it's cruel that we'll have two forwards having kicked 20 goals for the season. Obviously, we'd expect Gemma to probably kick at least one in this upcoming game. Finish 20 goals in the season. We're not playing like a team with those two forwards,
mm.
aren't potentially one going to win the goal kicking award for the competition, and yeah, and again, and not being able to play finals.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of where they finish, it's at least 40. I mean, it's 42 goals between them at the moment. So it's an incredible tandem year for them at the moment. Like any other team, like you've got the Kangaroos have got Garner and I'm blanking on the gal that's got 20 at the moment for them, but they've got, basically 39 between. So there is other teams that have done that, but they're obviously on top of the ladder. So that's reflective of the fact they've got that tandem, and we've just. I mean, let's speak about them for a minute. I think for a game that didn't let neither of them got off the absolute chain, but they both kicked two each in what should have been maybe a little bit more high scoring game on our end, but we blood those opportunities late on, going from 7 goals 2 to 7 goals 10 by the end of the game. So that was opportunities by a lot of players, but they both kicked two in the game. Obviously, Indy kicks an absolute worldie. Gemma opens the scoring with a decent, kind of kick around the body on the run. Indy's second one is a little bit more elementary from a very, very good Jazz Stewart kick that just penetrated deep inside into the goal square, and Indy's just reading of the ball and one-on-one is just always good. I've been ruminating on them for the last few days, just this incredible move forward for Indy has unlocked Gemma, and Gemma also has to be kept accountable. So the defenses are just pulled so awry by our forward line having two genuine absolute weapons, and then you've got and Ash Woodland rests down there while one of them's off, and she's resting from
Matilda Schultz.
Matilda Schultz, yeah,
who should have also had a goal herself.
Yeah, Chloe Gaunt, when she gets an opportunity, she roosted that one from 45, and she got the distance, just didn't get the trajectory.
Yeah.
She's gonna.
I was pretty confident in her. It's just, unfortunately, we got the yips. In that period onwards.
Yeah. But back to Gemma and Indy, I was just so. I mean, obviously, Indy breaks the record, and it will just keep on going now for whatever she finishes for the year. For the most goals scored in an AFLW season, being the previous one being 21, she's now on 23 for the year. Gemma also goes past her career best to up until last year. She kicked 17. It was her career best. She's now on 19 after this last week. So they're both at career best points. Obviously, Indy's previous best in her career, her career
probably
total was
1 or 2.
She had 5 goals in her career up until this year. So she's her output there. But them as a tandem, I just been thinking about it all weekend since. Is just how if you took a Gemma away from it, Indy wouldn't have as many. If you take Indy, if you hadn't put Indy forward, Gemma wouldn't be having the year she has either. It's just I think they've been quite got along quite well since they've come together as teammates at Port. Obviously, both of them coming in as in the inaugural team. It just seems like they have just such a innate understanding of. Well, and it's not even that they're linking up together all the time. It's often assists that come from different places, but just how they roam that forward line and structure up is just making an absolute nightmare for opposition teams, and it was great to see that be the ultimate nightmare for the Adelaide Crows.
I wholeheartedly agree, and it's a point that I raised earlier in the season, and it was more centered around Gemma, funnily enough, before Indy got moved, was the fact that at this point in time, AFLW defenses aren't that deep in lockdown hard-nosed talent. The better teams have a better spread, but more often than not, if you've got two weapons like that, they're going to really test opposition defense. And while they're both dynamic, they both have their own characteristics. And Gemma does love to get up the ground. She's been getting a lot more disposals in the last 2 to 3 weeks, purely having that freedom to take her defender around, to run up the ground, barometer type stuff. And Indy's just a perfect stay-at-home forward, even though she's more than capable of roaming up the field herself. But she's a great stay-at-home forward because she's just so hard. She never loses a contest, is something that I was thinking about watching this game. Is at the very least, she's going to halve a contest. Never have I seen her be outmarked this year, and if there is one, it'd be less than a handful, I would say, if she has genuinely been beaten, and she's probably quite off balance or out of position for that to occur. But it's just,
or
I
it's
remember
or
the
it's
Melbourne
been
game.
a hold or so. I feel like there's a couple of times where someone's taking
Yeah.
a mark on her, but she's gesturing at the umpire like I was getting a fair grab there. Like it's not you've got to
Yeah.
employ the dark
There was a
arts.
game at Alberton, I think. Yeah, you've just sparked a memory. I think there was a game at Alberton once this year where that
Mm,
happened.
hmm
But again, another game at the Melbourne game in particular in our review, commenting on like whenever the ball was in her vicinity, it just felt like something was going to happen, whether she'd leap into a pack or, she'd kind of razzle dazzle because she's very hard to tackle as well. She's very strong in the core. It's just an amazing move and something that can really propel us forward. Obviously, the Teakle implementation will be interesting.
hmm
Um, I
Possibilities
don't
this week.
actually think we should select her this week.
Mm.
As weird as that sounds, but next year we're going to have a seriously good think about how that structures up. It probably won't be to our detriment, and it'll probably make us much more potent. And I
hmm
dare say we won't be going away from the surge mentality that we've tried to characterize our game plan
hmm
around. But yeah, back to this game, they really set the tone in the first half because I think that their 4 goals combined came in the first half, if I remember
Yeah, they
correctly.
did.
If not,
Yeah,
Gemma had that holding free kick. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
okay. So,
We only kicked the one goal in the
um,
second half, which was the Bogue running in off the wing. So
and wasn't that a fantastic and
I
that
wanted to talk
goal?
about that goal in particular, like
Yeah,
so we can do
well,
that.
I think that goal and the Dowrick goal off of Juzzy, although Juzzy still, it looks sometimes like we've held a ball for the first time when we try and handball it kind of gear.
hmm
But the Dowrick goal and the Bogue goal more specifically, I think epitomized where we've got to this year with how we
hmm
want to play our football. Because they're great football goals, just end to end or link up play that's just flicking it around and finding someone on the outside who finishes the job.
hmm
Most importantly, and that Ella Bogue goal was fantastic in its simplicity, but also the execution and how it unfolded and how she completed it, I guess.
Yeah, I love the Ella one because that came in that period where we were dominating forward half possession, repeat entries inside 50 in that third quarter, but we just couldn't actually break through for a goal. And apart from that goal, we don't break through again anyway. So it was a tough half in that aspect. But that comes from the Ella Bogue one in particular. Comes from an Adelaide player kind of gets possession, inside out like their defensive 50, our attacking 50, and kind of just tries to go down the middle. And Dowrick contests the ball, brings it to ground, gets the ball out to Woodland, who gets it, kind of just chop kicks it forward, and Matilda Scholes runs onto it, gathers quite well, and then she has the wherewithal to kind of wheel around, see, and Ella Bogue's coming in, and like that's what fucking made me so happy is that we finally got like um, a running winger goal, like
Mm,
kind of like we're just like we were playing so well that we had players just innate like using their instinct just to like understand the time and the moment and see the space. Ella Bogue, like she's been a player at times, particularly in the first half of the year. There was a few players that just weren't getting
hmm
enough of the ball, and she was one of those ones that I was just like, after she'd had a really nice final series last year, I was like a little bit disappointed. Not, again, I understood a lot of players were just victims of how we were playing as a collective. But Ella Bogue's got 3 goals in the last couple of weeks against top 8 opposition by her role just opening up, finding space, us playing better and just getting more ball to her, and like her being able to run on and kick those kind of goals is an incredible asset, like an asset to have, like for her in
mm.
her game. And as you said, it was a great team goal. It kind of came from our forward half pressure and the Crows just really panicking, and well, not they didn't panic, they just couldn't find it. Wasn't an easy exit of our defense of their defensive 50. So they had to kind of just take a chance, and it didn't work. And we immediately turn it around and have some of our big stars. Like that goal was Dowrick bringing it to ground and getting the ball out. Woodland, Scholes, and Bogue. Like there's some big stars involved all in that play,
hmm
and yeah, it ends
Was
in.
that the one where Woodland kind of cut inside 2 or 3 Crows players? Or was that a different moment of the game?
I don't think it was that one, but I do vaguely remember the one you're talking about because it
Mm.
was quite tasty. She
Yeah,
kind
well,
of
she had quite the number of inside 50s,
yeah.
but yeah, it was just conflating a couple of different
I'm not sure if it
scenarios,
was that one,
perhaps.
because I just have the vision of her just like kind of kicking the ball under pressure forward and it tumbling dangerously inside 50 for where Scholes was able to run on and gather it.
And that Scholes gather is another just aspect of Schultz, the unicorn. Is the way that she, just her ground game as well as her aerial game now that has come to the fore. Again, taking a couple of contested marks, I believe, on the night. Yeah, just the way that she can attack a tumbling ball at ground level and just not lose stride. It salivates the palate when you're thinking forward in future years to come, and you know what she can potentially do to the rest of the competition. So yeah, again, just little aspects of that goal just epitomised all the good things that we want to see. And like you said, in a chain of three of our best players for this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that all coming in that period of play, like that first. It's disappointing that we don't get the kind of the rewatchability of the play, the goal, the onslaught of goals that period deserved in the. I think it was 15. I think for the quarter it was 18 inside 50s to 4 in the third quarter, which is just insane.
It was an annihilation.
It was an annihilation in everything but scoreboard, and that's where that last quarter gets a little bit tight. And that's because like you have to make hay while the sun shines, so to speak. It's some old farmer parlance. But we did that in the back end of the second quarter, like to kick those 3 goals in 5 minutes to back it, like to end the second quarter was exactly doing that. We took advantage of a little bit of, but then we kind of miss a few opportunities. But beyond that is just an incredible sequence of play. The pressure was great. Ella Heads had this fucking fantastic tackle on Caitlin Gould on the wing where the Crows were trying to exit, and Ella Heads just tackles her hard and then kind of gives her a little extra shove into the grass, which some people
fucking great player, great moment.
Yeah, I fucking love that shit. It was just and that was about the moment the commentator on KO was just like, I can't think of the name of the commentator. He was just like, they can sense it, Port, they can sense it. And I was like, God, you're going a little bit too early with that one. But
Carmody, is it Nigel Carmody?
Could be that.
Starts with an N.
I'm still getting to know some of the commentators that because you have your
good commentator.
Crews. Yeah. Certainly added.
I've enjoyed his calls on Channel 7.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have. I guess it was probably the 7 call that was coming through my K. I don't know how it was working exactly, but yeah. Because Flip was on there. That makes a lot of sense. Just
she enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It got a bit like in her post-match interview. I think it was it with Gemma?
Yeah, because Gemma
but it got very matey. The professionalism kind of just it just fell by the wayside a little bit the more that interview.
Well, I was all for it. Like in the immediate aftermath, because she said something about how Juzzy had joked that she was going to retire if she won one of those. I was like, no, don't. But
please don't.
But yeah, there was a little bit of Gemma stuff in the interview, and then she was the whole team was waiting for Gemma to come over to sing the song as well, and it was great. There's just great gear in there, but I mean, within the result, just the attitude. I mean, fuck, how good was there was a moment. I mean, the back end of the first half where the Crows. That's the one period. I was just like, there was about 30 seconds, or not even 30 seconds. It was about 20 seconds to go, and it's out in our forward half that the Crows have the ball, and they're able to go kick mark to get a shot at like it was a low percentage shot after the siren, but it was a little bit like that shouldn't have happened. There was 2 uncontested marks. We're playing I think we were trying to play that get behind the ball game, but still don't let them have an uncontested mark either, because you just need to bring one of those to ground, and you're probably running out the quarter without them But whoever it was that took the shot, I think it was Gould actually. Tried to go the barrel and it didn't even get close. And it's Woodland kind of just gathers the ball and keeps it in front of her, as you just do, to make sure it's dead. And obviously the siren went like 20, 30 seconds ago, and I think it was Eloise Jones that went through the back of Woodland, and kind of, I don't think she even knocked it down, but she kind of gave her enough of a shove in the back that it was quite fair. And it's kind of like, oh, that's it. But then the camera comes back to it because Ebony O'Day's just come in and laid out Jones.
O'Day, that's right, yeah.
And I
She
was,
cleans her up, and then she gets cleaned up.
and then suddenly the whole team's over there, and yeah, and it's like Juzzy's in there trying to calm it down, but then Matilda Scholl starts shoving at someone again, and she's laughing and smiling the entire time
With a
like,
shit-eating grin,
Yeah.
plastered across her face.
yeah, because I'm sure Matilda's just like, if anyone like actually comes at me, like I'm just gonna hold you at arm's length like the big goons in cartoons do, while a little one just wails their arms around. Like,
Yeah. They interviewed her on Kimbo and the Rooch on SENSA yesterday, and she kind of laughed about it and said that she doesn't actually take a lot of it seriously. And
yeah.
she mentioned that she's close with a couple of girls. She didn't mention who, but then she gets along with most of the team outside of football. So I think it was just a lot of churlish baiting from her in the moment. Obviously, flying the flag to an extent. But yeah, with the grin, I think it was just a bit of comedy on her behalf. Which is great. I mean, I probably underplayed it in regards to the rivalry in regards to the women's sense because it's only just a sample size. And I guess part of my note was that like there is room to grow, and that starts with us winning some games, and that'll only help fuel the rivalry even further. But yeah, in our part of the world, we think that we do things better, and as fans, we obviously feel the same way. So yeah, getting one up on the rival who like to think they rule the roost more often than not. Always happy to give them a reality check, and Friday was no different. And clearly, that permeated through the whole fan base, but the South Australian fan base as a whole, they don't want to lose, equally as we don't, and yeah, more than happy to put them in their place as well.
Yeah, I loved it. Like out of that little skirmish at the end of the half time, like Erin Phillips is going to interview Indy Tahoe at the halftime break, and they're kind of like, she's like, I think we might be in the middle of this, like, because they're kind of like, they are kind of just breaking apart, like right behind. And Indy, Erin kind of asked, like, is this like, this is what it's, it's a bit of feeling out there, and Indy goes, yeah, no, like a lot of respect for those Crows girls and what they've, what they've been to the competition, but we think it's our time now, so it's about time we take the crown, and just leaves it at that. I was just like, fuck yeah, Indy, like, and at that point I was just like, yeah,
Mic drop.
girls. Yeah, exactly. It was like, yeah, that was that moment. And I thought, I was like, oh, geez, that's like, the disaster planning part of my brain was just like, that's too early to go with that. But the other side of my brain was just like, no, these girls are like absolutely switched on. And there's a genuine, not that there was never a genuine intent in year one, year two, whatever it was, but they were just, well below the level that the Crows were at that time. And, they were early in the development. There was like, there's a real sense that the girls this year, I think they probably at some point last year as well, they were pretty good last year for large parts of that game too, but like still were outclassed in the end. This year they knew that their best footy could match or better the Crows, and there was like that belief was properly there this year, where it may have been a little bit there last year and a little bit there the year before, and probably was realistically not there the first year in particular. That Indy mic drop at halftime really just kind of solidified that for me. And I was just like, I was confident going into halftime, 12 points up, even more confident after she said that. And then the way we came out and attacked that third quarter, I was just like, there's a very specific way that the Crows can win this game from this point on, from halfway through that third quarter when we're 4 goals up in particular after the Ella goal. And I was just like, it's going to take a specific sequence of events. And yeah, they got a couple of goals, and Gould kicks. It was Gould that kicked the goal that got them within 7 points with 80 seconds to go. But up until when it got to that point, I was like, oh God, don't let anything stupid. But it was going to take just bounces, and there was a bit of that in the last quarter where the Crows just started getting bounces of the ball, and I was just so frustrated with it because I was like, there's nothing. This is just AFL chaos, but it's just like they were getting some bounces of the ball, but they did have to throw the kitchen sink at the game at that point, and that's sometimes what happens.
Yeah, but I don't think it should be understated. Like, it may be easy for people to draw a comparison to that St Kilda game, and I understand the feeling in the similarity of having a lead at 3/4 time and then a team coming past. But I think we actually played very well in the fourth quarter considering that. That's the difference for me. Apart from we won this game and didn't blow it like the St Kilda game. Like we had the first shot on goal, and then uh, it was a bit of a mix-up between Syme and I want to say Brooksby, but I might be wrong about that. In the Adelaide forward pocket that leads to India Rashid,
Yeah.
who again, like I know you saw my comment on Twitter, will look good in a Port Guernsey in a couple of years' time when she comes home. But that leads to the Hatchard shot on goal. They have another behind, and then we kick three behinds in a row, all from gettable shots at goal.
Mm.
And was it was one of them the Caitlin Pope where it just kind of swung
Yeah.
past the goalpost,
There's a couple
and
that I was
shit
like,
like that, like
that's on, and then it just didn't. Like,
it faded. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then they kind of, because we didn't put the game away, like we kicked the first goal in the last quarter, there's attitudes across the board that are a lot different. And even if we snag one or two in that run of three behinds after they kick that goal in the last quarter, then again, it's attitudes changing. But
Mm.
that's why I think, they had five scoring shots to our four. The only issue was they kicked three goals out of it and we kicked four behind. So
Yeah.
I do think that on top of that annihilation that fully didn't get cashed in the third quarter, I thought we actually played fairly decent football in the last quarter. There were some tired bodies late, clearly.
Mm.
There's a big plateau line in scoring for a large portion on the score worm, where no side scored a thing,
Mm.
because it was just a battle of attrition in the end. And I thought that was another level of maturity as well. We were doubling back. They were forced to kick long at stages, but we had players set up ready to mark or ready to impede a forward foray and just kind of keep them at bay, which I
Mm.
thought was maybe some learnings. And I've seen the discussion, particularly from you and some others across the fan base, acknowledging that something that you said is like, if we don't have those type of losses earlier in the season, are we having those learnings and being able to implement it in periods like that?
Mm.
We'll never know, but it's important to note.
Yeah. No, it absolutely is, and I definitely agree with sentiments about the fourth quarter. It was, yeah, we just missed some opportunities to kind of solidify the result at any point, but they never got within a goal. So that's like 1+ point there, and that's the interesting thing. Sometimes when I talk to people that don't know AF, like when my time in the US, like talking to people about the it's always funny that you get a point for missing, like getting close. But I always talk about there's a part of it that does show a little bit of you do get a little bit of reward for forward 50 entry and your forward pressure by getting points. And if we don't kick those 4 points and it's all one way, then they're within 3 points in that last minute, and then things are getting really hairy. So it's just like, yes, you'd rather kick goals, but there is a little bit of, it does show that those 4 points do show that we spend and put time up forward. Time up forward in of itself is helping us get because that's what that second and third quarter, just the fact that Crows couldn't even lay a glove at all, because I think they didn't even score a point for large portions of that period.
They scored one behind in that third quarter, particularly.
Yeah, and I don't know if they scored anything in the second.
Three behinds in the second quarter.
They did get three behinds. Yep. So yeah, they were getting their chances, but we were the amount of time that we spent with the ball in that time, because we do win the possession battle in this game again, despite only, just a few of the. To your point about, I did scroll up to this when you're talking about the long kicks, because they had 16 less handballs in the game than they generally average. We were right up at our average, and then they were right on their average for kicks. So essentially, they have 16 less disposals for a game than they usually would hope to, based on their year, and that's all in their handball game. So that's kind of like we're bringing the game into more of what we want to play versus what they want to play. We basically hit our metrics, actually had 11 more kicks than we usually do. So we, right around our handball metric, but had more kicks. And so we essentially did what we wanted to do. Disposal efficiency ended up only a 0.6 difference, which is an incredible result. Like, obviously in their favor, but essentially the same. Like for 0.6, that's the same for me. And I think that's an incredible result to take out of that game as well. That we basically mitigate the difference on disposal, and they only have 15 more touches of the ball. We have more possession for the game by, I think, 4%, more possession for the game, because we do, again, outmark them by 1. So we just again have more control of the game, like we did against Hawthorn, which was a point of impression for me against Hawthorn, that we controlled the game, had more possession despite having a few less disposals. Turnovers, we only had 1 more. I think they had 1 more clanger for the game. So the turnover and clangers were essentially 50-50, might as well.
Yeah.
Say.
Sorry to cut in, but
Yeah.
that differentiation between possession and disposal is an important one. And I know a lot of people, even seasoned football fans, get a bit confused in possession and disposal. It does just paint a picture that while Hawthorn and the Crows in the last fortnight have had more disposals, like you said, the possession as a percentage of the game, we've won. And against Hawthorn, we beat them quite convincingly. I think it was 45% possession to their 35%. Yeah. So
because we had
it is
46 to 23 marks or something like that in that game, which is just
but it's an interesting point to make when you're looking at who's controlling the game, rather than just looking at they had more disposals, so they must be in control of the game. It's not necessarily that simple. And a lot of the times it's just opposition teams wasting a bit of time with potentially some unnecessary handballs and just that differentiation of where wanting to mark and kick and mark. And it's kind of what sets us apart a little bit when we get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that we are kicking and marking and finding targets in that way, that's what's really impressive about the last couple of weeks, is that we are controlling matches. It's probably one of the last things that we haven't really done against good sides up until last week, really. The Richmond final win last year was like a decent win against a lot, but like beating Hawthorn, a top 4 team this year with the control of the game, is a real marker to progress, and we've done it again against the Crows. Outmark them and have 16 more contested possessions as well, which is that's one point of the year that we've been reasonably strong in contested ball. It's just I don't think we've had a win like that against a good side, like contested ball win like that. Stoppages, I think we mentioned, or clearances we mentioned earlier, we win by 5, which is all from stoppage, where it's even at the centre. I did go back and get this, and the other big stat, of course, 46 inside 50s to 28, which is massive. Again, should have won the game by more, but I'm not complaining. It's just that's just again just showing the domination in the game. And I did go back and look at the stats from when we first played the Crows back in 2022, which aren't pretty reading, but it's a lot easier to look back on now.
I was there.
See the progress. I
it was more a social
well.
event.
Yeah.
I was chatting and drinking with friends.
Yeah. I think Andre got mad at me at one point because I was just getting drunk and yelling at umpires for half the game, I think. Inside 50s was 40 to 17, obviously the Crows' way in that one. It was 239 disposals to 172 with a very similar disposal efficiency, but they had more of the ball, obviously, and theirs was going inside 50. Like, I think a lot of our disposal was basically just trying to, kicking around the back and trying to find a way forward, and then we didn't find a way forward. 29 hitouts to 10. This was obviously pre-Matilda Scholes. I'm trying to think of even who the starting ruck for that game would have been. Like, was that?
Well, we had, I think Levicki started from day dot. But would it have been that West Coast, that player for West Coast? What's her name?
McLaughlin or something. I'm trying to think. No, it's not. But I know who you're talking about. I can kind of picture her face
off the top of my head.
Yeah, but 29 hitouts to 10, Crows way. 33 clearances to 11, the Crows way. They had 8 centre clearances to our 0, obviously with the 25 to 11 from stoppage. So it's just, and they had 111 contested possessions to our 82. 50. They had 51 marks to 43, which doesn't look crazy bad, but then they had 18 marks inside 50 to our 3. So again, a lot of our kind of like the possession number, a lot of our marks were probably kicking around the back trying to find a way forward that we never did. Obviously, the final score of that game being 8 goals, 15, 63 to 3 points. So in 4 years, and this is a team that Woodland was one of the goal scorers for Adelaide that night, by the way. But thank you for coming home, Ash. But again, like this, the Crows team has obviously changed shape since then, but a lot of stars that they've got are Hatchard and Marinoff were two of their best players on that day. Caitlin Gould as well, all players that played the other night, and they've got a lot of players that have been around a long time, still playing good football. So they're not like and there's a finals bound team this. Well, they still need to win this week, but and a few things go their way. Destiny's in their hands for this week, but they could miss. But we think they're a finals bound team. So looking at that result and just how one-sided that was for us to have bridged that gap. Obviously, we halved it in year two. It's gone from a 60-point loss to a 30-point loss. Again, last year, we went down to 14 points. This year, we've won by 7. Should have been more. I only bring up those stats just to kind of highlight just where we were. And two of our best players on that night were three of our best players on that night were Ange Foley, Erin Phillips, and at the time, Justine Mules. Obviously, she hadn't gotten married since, is now Mules-Robinson. I was just like, Mule. I kind of looked at it, I was like, Mules. And I was like, oh, duh. And I think Abby Ballard was the other one in the best there. So, but, two of those players have retired. So we've also lost players that were some of our best in that side at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mules-Robinson had a very good, I think a great captain's moment for her on Friday night, by the way, but which we can kind of segue into just quickly before we get to other stuff. But I just wanted to bring up that just as a real, that shows the contrast of where we were to where we've gotten to by and large with this young group. Obviously, there's lots of changes happening to our side every year, but it is still youth driven, and this group has grown and become a very competitive, hard football side.
Yeah, it's a great comparison to make, and much like players on their side of things still being around, there's a large contingent of players on our side of the fence who were playing in that game, such as Abby Dowrick, for example, who would remember those contests and would take great delight in what happened Friday night just gone. So yeah, it is a great comparison. It's quite stark and just a real slap in the face, some of those statistics for back where we were. I think by and large we're all quite realistic of where we were at that point in time, but it does just go to show how far we've come, albeit in a challenging year in isolation.
Yeah, I was just actually going to have a quick look to see who I can get the lineups up. It would just be interesting to see. I said Abby Ballard. Sorry, I apologize. That was Alex Ballard.
Yeah.
Just having a look at the other players that did play in that game. Dowrick played, Ebony O'Day. Olivia Levicki was the ruck. So there you go. I don't actually see who would have even been the second ruck in this one, to be honest. But yeah, it was the Dowrick, and O'Day was named as one of the starting followers as well in the lineup. That's interesting.
Yeah, wow.
Actually, you do. Indy Tahoe was at halfback. Cheyenne Hammond played in that game. Emily Borg, of course. Ella Bogue was on the wing in that one. And Juzzy Mules.
Was Maloney playing that year, or did she come
Maloney?
in
I was
the
about
year after?
About to get to the bench, and yeah, Maloney was on the bench. So, Yaz Dersma was on the bench. Yeah,
Houghton was injured.
Yeah, because she went down that injury early in the year and missed the rest of the year. Yeah, it was interesting because when I was looking at Gemma Houghton's goal scoring years, just seeing how little she had in that first year, but remembering that she kicked 2 big milestone goals for us, I was like, and then remembered she got injured. But yeah, look, there's a lot of there's been a bit of change there, like, and Hannah Dunn doesn't play, Jackie Yorston. It's interesting, Sarah Goodwin and Hannah Ewing's played in that game. Hannah Ewing's
fuck you.
Tangent. Has she not been playing well for them this year? Because I don't see her on her injury list, but she's not.
Yeah, I remember seeing a game earlier this season that she was part of, and she had less than 10 disposals. Obviously haven't followed her because obviously as Port Adelaide fans we're just much easier to forget about her. But no, she's obviously not playing well enough.
Yeah, it's an interesting
read.
Very interesting considering Sarah Goodwin does look like a good player for them as well. You would have,
yes, yeah, absolutely,
and good for her because she was genuinely one that kind of I wasn't sure about in that first year with us, and then she got moved on. But seems to have turned into quite the good player, Sarah Goodwin. So, but yeah, Henny Ewings, considering the kind of trajectory she looked like she was on after year one, very curious. It was part of, when I was looking at lineups the other day, I was like, oh, she must be in the injury list. Look at the injury list. I was like, nope. So just isn't playing.
I think I did a similar thing.
Yeah, 3 or 4 games this year, and that's it. So I'm sure she'll probably have a decent. She's still young, but it is an interesting kind of part of her career that she has not gone on at all. And I know she's had problems, well, not problems, but just family grief and whatnot in the interim that's caused her to question her love for footy. But it is an interesting thing that she's come back to footy. She might be discovering that the time away has kind of put her behind the 8 ball a little bit. But no, it doesn't matter. She's not a Port player anyway, and we won the fucking showdown.
Agreed.
So yeah, hope you enjoyed watching that one from the stands, Hannah. I wanted to touch on Juzzy though, because just before we get to maybe anything else you have, by the way, we can get to it. But I think, just an incredible captain's game that she's been having some great captain's games of late. I think she's found, as we've gotten better, and we've kind of started to find our group, because I think she was one of those many ones earlier in the year that we were kind of like, find a bit more ball and whatnot. And I think she's done that. She's having her impact. She was having her impact in the contest and all those things up forward. Obviously, our forward half pressure helps her bringing her into the game as that kind of high half forward, smaller forward role. It's a thankless role when the team's not playing well, but it can be quite rewarding when you are, and we are. And then her acceptance speech for the Showdown Shield. Obviously, she gave some great credit to the Crows, which she won 3 premierships there, with fully understanding of that. And the way when she turned to like the girls, it was very. There was a lot of power and passion in that, and yeah,
very sorority house, vibes.
But she's great. I just have so much love for her as a captain. I just wanted to give her flowers, because I think that was she's been having a great captain's game, a few great captain's games, and I think she deserved that moment as much as anyone this year.
I couldn't agree more, and look. Bit of broken record. Obviously agreeing with a few salient points, but I was obviously banging on about the importance of getting her involved in those earlier parts of the season that you mentioned, and the clear flow-on effect that can have on a young group. And I can scream the importance of senior leadership until the cows come home in whatever sport, really. The leaders are the leaders for a reason, particularly whether it be age or position in their respective teams. It's been notable, her impact over the last particularly month of football. The combination of, I think she has been roaming a bit further out from the forward line to make an impact. But as well as that, the better ball movement, the better front half defense has definitely played into her being able to provide that example and being able to lead by example. A lot of her pressure, a lot of her decision making. I can only imagine that her direction off ball around the contest would just be second to none as well, and vital.
You noticed it at times, like her little hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the time, she's directing out there.
Well, and she just seems like that type of character who's not afraid to say a word or two, good or bad. Obviously, the interviews and some of those words and reactions after the game just kind of speaks to her. Obviously, she's done a few interviews on radio over the years as well, and the 3 premierships that the Crows granted, she is Port Adelaide through and through. Everything that she does on field only reflects that even further.
Oh, absolutely. She had the 14 disposals in the night, like 7 of them contested, 4 marks, 4 tackles, going at 57%, which is a decent number for someone that's playing in that role. Like, she's going to be getting some hard ball in there, and sometimes quick kicks forward and whatnot. So, or just out of pressure. So, even got a couple of clearances in there. So she's doing some great stuff, and I'm very, very thankful that she's a Port Adelaide player, and in particular, I think she's just been the perfect captain this year. She leads by example and leads with an incredible level of maturity as well, and how she's a well-spoken human being, and yeah, she even spoke to that in a post match when she accepted the shield. Said we've had some tough discussions this year at times when we haven't been playing well, but it's all been like, yeah, to hear that, I was really, really pleased as well that they've kind of like, she's acknowledging that, yeah, there's been some growth this year and we've had to do it together. And this is the result of that. There's a tangible result of that. And like, that's regardless of what happens this weekend in our finals, unlikely finals this year, the fact that these girls out of the last month have seen now, like, it's easy to say, oh, we're taking learnings, whatever, out of these results. But then the girls internally might be going, God, I hope we actually fucking learn something from the learnings. But they've now gone, 4 weeks where they've beaten the Dogs, had a tough away loss against the Brisbane Lions, and they've gone win-win against 2 very, very good sides. They've now got the tangible, like they've got the data of like, this is what happens when we actually do something with the learnings. So like, and that's an incredible thing for them to take into.
Guilty as charged with the learnings.
That's great stuff. Yeah, they've got that to take into 2026, which is the ultimate. And one thing before we get to the votes, I think we should give a quick shout out again, because I know there's been some tough talk about her this year, and I think we did it last week, but I'll do it again this week because she deserves her flowers for it too, like Lauren Arnell. Whatever was said, that, like, I think first of all, like at the quarter time, because the way we came out, even though the first quarter wasn't bad, the way we came out since quarter time in the game was just incredible. So, and the way she has set them up over the last few weeks, whatever she's doing, she's taken some learnings as well, and she's getting the results as coach. And it's a very, very tough life as a coach, particularly when things are going against you. And she was starting to get a little bit of that stuff from some Port fans out there, like, should we have renewed the contract, yada yada yada. And the fact that she's getting the results is very, very, and I hope she's enjoyed the hell out of this one, because she's been there from the start as well, and she definitely deserves to bathe in the Showdown glory as well.
Great point. Yeah, nothing to add, but totally agree.
Yeah. Looking forward to the growth of Lauren Arnell going into 2026 as well. Did you have anything else about this result, or did you want to get into the votes, where we can talk a little bit more about a few of the big ones?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Now it's time for the CREEDCAST Player of the Year voting.
Bum.
You get to go first, Jamie, this week. Your first week going first since pre-Noah. Pre-Yo King.
Yeehaw, brother. On non-voice note form, I'll say my votes. I'm just going to plug an honorable mention because I've just seen them. I think it's actually left over from last week's honorable mentions. I forgot to delete them, but it does apply. And that's Jazzy Sowden.
Fuck yeah.
Another near 10 tackle game. I think she's found a niche. And I think, because obviously with first year players, we want to know how they're going to carry our team forward in their little patch of grass. And I think while Lily Patterson has had 1 or 2 decent games this year, she's showed some glimpses. I think our draft crop hasn't really, it's a hard act to follow when you've got the likes of Matilda Schultz, Sinead Goody, Molly Brooksby over the last couple of years. And Jazzy Sowden has been the one that's played the most games this year, but I don't think she's really had an aspect of the game that she's made her own. But the last 2 weeks in particular, she's really established that pressure forward role. And I think that's a good basis to grow from going forward, obviously with the women's game continuously progressing. And I would imagine our game progressing with that. A pressure forward will be worth their weight in gold when we're wanting to get it forward as much as possible with that surge game style, but also that front half defense and forward 50 defense that we'll be looking to implement in years to come. And her really locking in on that and and then she can now build on top of that and potentially, get a few more possessions, get involved a bit more, and potentially impact on the scoreboard. But I think having a niche for a young player is important. It is important for young people in sport to simplify their focus, to remain consistent. And, while it is the end of the season, it's just good that she's had glimpses of why they've persisted with her, without a notable performance along the way until last week. And then she's backed it up and she's had, 19 tackles in 2 weeks. So took a gamble. I don't think you've got her in your honorable mention. So I just wanted to put that in, particularly because she's a first year player and we want to know, who's going to take us forward in the years to come. So good on her. Going into my votes, my one vote goes to Ella Heads. Spoke briefly about that fantastic moment where she just laid out the that clown performer, and then gave a bit extra to go along with it. 16 disposals for Ella, 9 of them contested, 6 of them intercepts. She went at 62%, which is just a good characteristic of her game broadly across the season. She's been one of our better ball users all year. 323 meters gain, 4 marks, 3 score involvements inside 50s and rebound 50s. Oh, and 3 tackles as well. So just plug and play, well-rounded, well-balanced Ella Heads game. A new player in a system, it's sometimes hard to gel or to find your feet, but I think from the get-go, we've been immediately impressed with her, and at no stage throughout the year has that waned. And Friday's game was just a chapter in a very good 2025 for our newest edition, from a trade point of view, in Ella Heads. Although, I'm not sure, what we gave up for her or how that worked.
There wasn't anything too much given up, and you can keep going. I'm just going to Google.
Anyway, I'll go on to my second vote, which is Jazzy Stewart. 17 disposals, 11 of which were contested, 5 of which were intercepts. Went at 47%, which I don't think reflects some of the key moments that she had in the game, particularly in that first half, like we spoke about earlier. Just under 300 meters. 3 marks. She had the goal herself and the goal assist in her 4 score involvements, 2 clearances, getting a bit of midfield time, and 4 tackles. I think it's a game that Jazz Stewart personally knew that she had in her, but unfortunately hasn't had the time to play and display that at an AFLW level. Unfortunately, being languishing in scrimmages and whatnot outside of the team. Unfortunately, at stages, we probably could have used some of those piercing inside 50s and hit up kicks to leads. But good on her for relishing the chances that she's getting now at the end of the season. My 3 votes goes to Matilda Schultz. I thought she had just a standard great Matilda game. 23 hitouts. She had 15 disposals, 10 of which were contested, 53% disposal efficiency, 260 meters. Her 2 marks were contested, like I mentioned earlier. The one behind, which should have been a goal off of a good mark. 6 score involvements as a whole, 3 inside 50s and 4 tackles. 4 votes goes to Ash Woodland. Just keeps adding to her positional change, adding to her aura a little bit. Like I kind of mentioned last week, just each week she's getting more and more comfortable in the role and finding the little niche, the nuance to midfield craft, using her strength and know-how to combat various situations, which I really love. I mean, I've enjoyed Ash Woodland in Port Adelaide colours for a while, particularly her dabbling in that multifaceted role last year. But every week she just seems to get better and better, more settled in our midfield. 19 disposals, 11 of which were contested, 3 intercepts, 52% disposal, just under 400 meters, 4 clearances, and the 9 inside 50s, which I touched on earlier, and 7 tackles. Again, well-rounded midfielders game from Ash Woodland. Just another good leader in a good age bracket who will carry us forward in years to come. And obviously, Just no stranger to the 5 vote spot. Copy and paste Abby Dowrick, 24 disposals, showdown medalist as well, it must be said.
Oh,
So made it pretty easy to put her in as the 5 votes. 24 disposals, half of which were contested, 5 intercepts, 41% disposal efficiency, which is a bit low, but again, I don't think truly reflects some of the key moments that she had. 570 meters, 1 goal, a goal assist as well in her 5 score involvements, 5 clearances. Also had the 9 inside 50s and 6 tackles. So that's my votes. I look forward to your arrangement.
we got the same players in there, slightly different arrangement. And
Yeah,
it's really me just
thought so.
rewarding one particular player for a period of play, really. Yeah, I mean, I'll start from the back end, because obviously Dowrick's my best on as well. I think, and yeah, the disposal efficiency actually surprised me, but I just still need to. I know what disposal. I need to dial in on exactly what works as an effective versus it, because she had a lot of moments where she took a ball in contest and congestion and just fucking raked it forward with that incredible boot that we know Abby Dowrick has. And if that came to contest or came to what they consider an ineffective disposal, but it did so much of how we're playing is like it's just getting the ball into our forward half and then bringing it to contest and congestion, and then trusting in ourselves with the fact that we've got Matilda Scholes and we're generally a pretty good stoppage team. We'll probably win it from stoppage or at least bring it to another contest, a scrum, and we'll be able to work it forward from there. So Abby, when we're playing our game at our best, like her ability just to fucking win the ball and just gain 40 meters pretty easily with that raking boot is just like, and so that might be an ineffective disposal, but for how we play, like in the stats book, but how we play, it's an effective disposal for us. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I've had similar thoughts myself.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to see go through every disposal with like the stat, and is like, okay, is that one effective or ineffective for you? And they're like, well, that's ineffective. And I'm like, yeah, but that's working for us. So like, it's an interesting one. But yeah, she was great in the night. And yeah, it was great to see. Very, her going up to get the medal, and my hair's out, like just like, yeah, she's such a nonchalant character, but also very, very just an incredible footballer. So she was my best on. I put Jazz Stewart in my 4 spot because I was that fucking impressed with that 10-minute period. She had 15 disposals up until half time. 10 of those.
Right, okay, yeah. Shit.
Yeah, I actually stopped the broadcast at the halftime bit, and they had the top disposal winners, and Jazz Stewart was second.
Stop the count.
Yeah, she was. She had the 15 for us. I think she had more than Dowrick did at halftime, and then obviously she ends up with 17 for the game. So she dials off in the second half. But that 10-minute period at the back end of the second quarter, where she had 10 disposals in that period, basically was the game defined. That's where the game flipped, and then we should have added to that in the third quarter. We didn't. We've already gone over that, but that period of the game was where it flipped, and she had a goal assist, that great kick into Indy Tahoe. She had a goal herself, which was a great, just opportunistic crumbing, deep forward goal. Just she was jazzy everywhere in that period of play. And I just thought the fact that she's come off, saying the scrap heap's not, but it feels like the scrap heap when players just don't get to do much apart from scrimmage. Like it feels like you're just pulling them from the island of misfit toys when you're bringing them into the side because they don't have a proper reserves comp. So I don't say that to be dismissive of whatever they're doing off the field. It's just like we need to set up a better
It's
system.
not good enough.
It is, yeah. It's more me supporting. Like I want them to have something better for when they're not playing at the top level. But for her to come out of that situation, play a great game last week. We thought she had a really good game last week, some great assists, and to then have a game-defining period of play in the showdown. She's come out of not really playing much footy this year into 2 of the hottest games of the year, and she's played her role above and beyond my expectations. And I think that's worth something to it. And the fact that she, I couldn't believe, that was her first goal for Port as well. Like I couldn't believe that.
Was it? Oh,
I'm pretty sure
right.
it was. There was someone they mentioned with their first goal. I'm pretty sure it was Jazzy. So, yeah, because who else kicked goals in the night? It was, Gemma.
Vogue, Tahoe, Gemma.
Yeah.
Dowrick. So, yeah. I mean,
someone they mentioned
definitely.
kicking their first goal, and it has to be Jazzy because we know all the others have. So, yeah, I was really, really impressed with her, and I just thought I was like, I don't know. It's not that I wanted to give her 4 votes because I don't know when I next get the chance, but I thought being the fact that she's come in, like the situation she's come in from and how the impact she's having, I think, and she had 78% time on ground. Abby only had 79%, but you know, Woodland, Heads, Shoals are all on 88 or more. And I just thought that's an incredible impact for time on ground and where you are in the status of our selections as well up until the last couple of weeks. So an incredible result for her. The rest of mine are pretty much exactly what yours were. Just I've got Shoals in my 2 spot instead of the 3 spot, and I've got Woodland in the 3 spot instead of the 4 spot. So and it's one of those games. Then I've got Heads at 1, and yeah, all players I would have loved to have given more because I thought Woodland was incredible. Shoals dominated the way she should, and then she did did a lot of the other things that make her, as we kind of talked at the top of the show, the extra midfielder that the Crows were trying to get. We had that with our ruck, so it was she had a really, really good game, and
it's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, we'll see if it pays off for him. Narrator, it didn't.
It did not.
You may be wondering how I got here. Well, I would like to give them all 5 votes, to be honest, because that was just we won a showdown, and I know winning showdowns in the men's comp is what we're always going into every single one of them hoping we win them. But you know, the women's comp has been a gradual progression to get to this point, and they've won it in incredibly deserving fashion, and I am so proud to sit here and say that we fucking deserved that game, like absolutely. Like would have taken a showdown win in any aspect if we'd run over the top and stolen it, like we did against Hawthorn in the finals last year. Whatever way we got it, would have been stoked. I'm that much more happy though that we absolutely deserve that, dominated them. You know, Crows fans, I saw a couple of Crows fans complaining about AFLW umpiring. I'm like, what, first time? Like, fuck, it's the AFLW. Like everyone, like we're all complaining about umpiring. The free kicks, I think it was 19-17. I can't remember which way it was, but it wasn't all that different. But that was the only thing that there was. Otherwise, most was just like, yeah, no, we were beaten by a better side, and that's just that's what makes me most proud about this result.
Yeah. Nothing to debate there. It's good to control a game and be rightful winners. Yet again, for 2 weeks straight against top 8 competition.
Absolutely, yeah. It does lead us to an interesting proposition this week. I thought we'd be well out of finals contention, and we more or less almost are, but we are still in the contest, mathematically and with all sorts of scenarios in play. But we do play the GWS Giants this weekend for our last match of the minor round. We'll see what happens after that. But it is GWS over in Sydney at 12:35 p.m. local time on Saturday afternoon. So GWS, a team that they're definitely not playing finals. Their match read does say join us at Henson Park for our final game of the 2025 season. There's no maybe. It is just this is the final game of the season. Interestingly, on our side, just looking at the injury report released today, and you kind of touched on it earlier. Julia Teakle is available, is how they're listing it. Kirsty Lamb is a test. Rest of the players we all know about, Cuthbertson, Wendland, Piper Window, Young, Charity, all out for the season. But, you mentioned it before. It's an interesting question to ask because, GWS are, we should be beating this side for our last, we should be finishing the season regardless of our finals go at 6-6. But the Teakle question is an interesting one, isn't it? Because what do you do with a team that, you've got Indy Tahoe who probably wants to, suddenly she's in position to just solidify being the leading goal kicker of the competition this weekend. She leads by 3 going into this weekend, so she just needs to probably kick a couple to really lock it in. You can't imagine someone kicking more than 4 or 5, but, and Gemma Houghton probably wants to finish the season on a high, and the forward line's just humming along so nicely. Do you really want to mess with that? But also Teakle probably would like to, get at least one game in for the year and at least just get a game in for the sake of it. But you do need to win the game to make sure that you're in the mathematical chance to progress if everything else falls your way. So you don't want to mess with things too much. I'll let you speak on it, but I'm kind of leaning your way as well. As I don't want to mess with this team has gone in the last 2 weeks with the same side, and they've had incredible results. They deserve to finish the season on their terms, I think, as well. And it's unfortunate for Teakle, but she hasn't played, so.
Yeah, absolutely. My perspective on it all is that we have finally reached a point in our year where we seem to all be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And we are coming into a game where we have to play almost the perfect game of football in the way that to give us, because we are a chance, and at no stage in any sport, in any system that has a finals on the back end of a minor round, you shouldn't be giving up on a year, no matter how far-fetched it is. And so we have to keep GWS to as low a score as possible, but we also have to score as much as possible. And I would hate for us to bring, who is our vice captain and who is a fantastic player in her own right, I would hate to bring her in because of that, because she is the vice captain, for some tokenistic reason in the grand scheme of things, which could potentially upset the balance. Where again, I feel that we're all on the same page, we're in good form, and we do have a shot, but albeit a long shot, we have a shot to make finals. And I think picking her would be either an act of desperation, or it would be a signal that we are just preparing for next year, which I don't agree with personally. And in my mind, I'm saying, sorry, Julia, you've missed the whole season. And this is the thing. If by chance a miracle were to happen, then because we need quite a specific scenario to happen this weekend. Whereas hypothetically, if a miracle did happen and we're playing in an elimination final, then all we need to do is win. And I think then the conversation is a little bit different, because we're not needing to do something in quite a particular fashion. But at the moment, I'm saying, sorry, Julia, you've missed the whole season up till now. We don't want to take a risk in upsetting the apple cart.
Mm-hmm.
A bit similar to Kirsty Lamb as well, if she was to pass her test. Which I'm not sure. I don't think you've mentioned yet.
I think I briefly mentioned that she was a test, but I don't even consider Kirsty Lamb an option for this weekend. The way we're playing, it's just like it's unfortunately she's on the outer in that sense, and we haven't actually missed her, which I hate to say because like I love Kirsty Lamb, but just the way we're playing currently. The one that I'll bring up because I think this is an interesting maybe where the change could come from is, and I don't mean any disrespect to Chloe Gaunt, but she would probably be the for me. That's a good
point.
And I just
counterpoint for sure.
I wanted to do the exercise of if we're going to make a change and bring Teakle in for a game, who she comes in for, and obviously her for Gaunt is 182 centimeters, Teakle's 178, so Teakle she can pinch hit in the ruck. I mean, we don't really. We had a bunch of players pinch hit in the ruck a bit on the weekend. Emily Borg.
Yeah, I think it's more defensive end where we kind of rotate your Borg or someone else.
Yeah, Borg had 4 hit-outs on the weekend.
Yeah,
on Friday.
Yeah. Well, that's the benefit of the Crows dropping their votes. We're afforded that, and Matilda could rest forward or take a break on the bench, although she still played fucking stupid percentage time on ground like she usually does.
96.
6%. Yeah. She's a machine.
Yeah. Gaunt was only on the field 47% of the time. So they're clearly, you'd imagine a Teakle would probably spend a bit more, like might change the rotational plan a little bit in that aspect. That would be
very good counterpoint to my argument.
I only came up with it as you were talking, because I was like, I just want to see if there's something. And I just looked through and I was like, I hate, because I think I've been a bit like, Gaunt could be the one that gets dropped a couple of times this year, and she did get dropped, I think, at one point after I said it. It's not like I don't value what she she's only 19 years old. And I value what she could be and as she has been at times. Again, booming kick. Like I think she was unlucky to miss a nice shot on the weekend, but she is the one that I look at and go, that's probably the easy in and out if you wanted to bring Teakle into the game. And I don't think if you do that move and the result doesn't go the way we want, like we somehow end up in a battle against GWS for some stupid reason, anything's happened, you wouldn't sit there and go, well, that's because we took Gaunt out and brought Teakle in. That's just not going to be that change. There's going to be a lot of other things going wrong there. So if you're going to make the bringing Teakle in, and I think if Teakle is truly fit and ready to go, and even if she only plays 60% of time of the on ground, which is 13% more than Chloe played, she's still probably going to have a bit more impact on the game just based on where she was at in her game last year and what she can provide. She can go down back and drop in down back. We've seen her do that before. She can obviously.
Oh, but I'm just thinking in a perfect scenario, if Teakle was to be implemented in the forward line, she already proved last year that she was a good mark. Her and Indy Tahoe are fairly similar players. I think Indy Tahoe has shown maybe a bit more dynamism at ground level, in agility. But Teakle definitely displayed
on the weekend was great.
Yeah, exactly.
I meant to bring that up.
Just shaking people off as well.
Just side note, did you catch the person that they get caught on the hot mic just like yelling at the boundary umpire? Like it must have been a Crows fan. Like it just I fucking love that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Fox and Channel 7 are liking the crowd mics because they pick up a lot. But yeah, I mean, like I was just getting at, Teakle displayed many times last year that A, very good mark, and B, a very accurate kick. So with a surge game plan that is working quite well right now, having Houghton, Teakle, and Tahoe as marking options, obviously weather permitting, hopefully it's all right day. Again, hopefully the stars align, and a miracle were to unfold over the weekend. But all I can say now is that I'm glad that I don't have to make that call. And look, I think we've got to a point in this discussion where if that selection does get made, Gaunt for Teakle, I won't be losing any sleep. But yeah, I am just very wary of upsetting the apple cart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't think it's one of those things that in a side that's playing so well, it's always very unfair to make changes. And, sometimes you do need to make them. But I wouldn't be mad if we went unchanged. Like if we just said to this side that they've impressed us so much over the last couple of weeks, like, you've earned this, like each and every one of you, even if you're Chloe Gaunts and Jazzy Evans and co that have been, picking up a couple of disposals, you've earned the right to finish this season on your terms. And, we finished 6-6, hopefully. And we should be beating, by the way, the betting odds are very, very much in our favour. Yeah, quite one-sided. GWS just haven't had a good year. They've won a couple of games and they're just not in the discussion of the good sides of the AFLW this year. And we should win this one, finish 6-6. What are the finals permutations? What are we looking at? I don't actually have it in front of me.
So Essendon needs to turn back the clock to their early season form and beat Sydney, who is without Chloe Malloy, who's been ruled out with a back injury. What's the other one? We also need Carlton to beat West Coast. We need Carlton to beat West Coast, and then Fremantle and Adelaide at just a 1-point victory to whoever, I think. Just to allow us space to gain percentage and supersede someone.
So not much. Like it's
not much. A few machinations. Yeah, I mean,
it's real.
Essendon coming off of.
So you're saying
rolling
there's a chance?
There's a chance. There is a chance. Yeah, but Essendon have lost 5 on the bounce, maybe even more than that. It's obviously the last 5 rounds on the AFLW ladder, coming up against Sydney, who are 2-3 in their last 5 games. But
didn't Essendon start the year 3-0? Like it might be
That's what I mean. Yeah,
so
they need
just
to
haven't won
get back
since
to that.
Yeah. So they just haven't won since the first 3 weeks of the season because they're
3-8. Yeah, so that'd be correct. That eight losses. So what better time to break a loss streak?
Yeah, and the West Coast Carlton game will be an interesting one as well. But look, it's long odds, and I'll sit here and say, and as I've been saying for the last few weeks, the finals are unlikely. And to be fair, if this team keeps progressing at the trajectory we're at, but we get a fixture that's based on us finishing 9th or 10th, then like that's not going to be terrible. Like,
let's go 2026.
Yeah. It's the 2026, the year of the pair. Look, what a great result on the weekend, though. Regardless of what the end of the season may bring, we've had some really, really nice results. Look, there's been some frustrating ones as well, and we'll talk about it more when we get to a full spectrum season review. But all I could ask, as we said at some point in this podcast, is that we do something with those learnings, and there's no better way than knocking off our first showdown win in the AFLW. Is a great way to, almost finish the season. We've got 1 week to go, but really proud of the way the girls have kind of responded in this back half of the year, and I think everyone else should be looking at that and kind of acknowledging that, and that I think objectively, I think we've had our best season in the AFLW this year based on results and some of the performances we've put on. Yes, it won't end in finals, unlikely, but I think some of the results this year have been really, really ones to look at as our best that we've had so far. So, I think that's it from us tonight, Jamie, isn't it? Unless you've got anything else you want to add.
That's it.
Yeah, wrap it up.
No. Great show. Appreciate everyone for listening. There's obviously bits and pieces going on with the broader AFL club, particularly the men's program, which I'll drop in my thoughts on Thursday. So obviously $5.99 a month. Not long in the footy season left in regards to Patreon, but hey, there'll be some extra thoughts there for Thursday, and probably 1 or 2 extra shows. So tune in on Thursday. I won't be here live, but like I said, I'll probably drop in with a few thoughts about the footy club broadly, both women's and men's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Jamie voice notes are very, very fun when they come in, because I don't know what's coming. So that was going to be, it's a very, very good tease forward from you, because that was going to be my prompt for Thursday was like, I mean, we haven't even touched on it, the Ben Rutten stuff. So sign up for the Patreon, because we'll talk about the kind of the finalisation of the AFL men's off-season, off-field kind of acquisitions or appointments as they were for the men. So tune in on Thursday. Obviously the squad show will be on Thursday as well, available to everyone looking towards our final game of the AFLW minor round. But nothing more to say.
Well done tonight. Showdown wins a showdown win. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Can't La Pera.